If you become a patron, you can hear more audiobooks that aren't available on YouTube, such as Socialism with Chinese Characteristics, A Guide for Foreigners by Roland Bohr, Khrushchev Lied and Blood Lies by Grover Furr, a rare biography of Mao Zedong written by his most trusted bodyguard, and much more. Become a subscriber by following the first link in the description below. Thank you for your support. The Governance of China, Volume 4 by Xi Jinping. Section 14. Harmony between Humanity and Nature. Build an eco-civilization for sustainable development. Part of the speech at the 7th meeting of the Commission for Financial and Economic Affairs under the CPC Central Committee, April 10th, 2020. We must ensure harmony between humanity and nature. I have consistently emphasized that humanity and nature form a community of life. As human beings, we must respect nature, follow its ways, and protect it. Our COVID-19 response has made us more keenly aware that building an eco-civilization is vital to our nation's sustainable development. And our plan of economic and social progress must be based on harmony between humanity and nature. Ingalls made it clear long ago. Let us not, however, flatter ourselves overmuch on account of our human victories over nature. For each such victory, nature takes its revenge on us. Footnote 1. Friedrich Engels, Dialectics of Nature, Karl Marx and Friedrich Engels, Collected Works, Volume 25, English edition, Lawrence and Wishart, Electric Book, 2010, pages 460 to 461. End of footnote 1. Since the first industrial revolution, people have continuously improved their ability to exploit nature, but overdevelopment has led to a reduction in biodiversity and forced wild animals to migrate, increasing transmission of the pathogens they carry as they do so. Since the beginning of this century, humans have suffered from a marked increase in the incidence of new infectious diseases worldwide, including SARS, avian influenza, MERS, Ebola, and now COVID-19. Only by maintaining a balance between humanity and nature and in our ecosystems can we protect human health. We must understand fully how humanity and nature form a community of life and step up efforts on all fronts to build an eco-civilization. We must always prioritize eco-environmental progress. More and more human activities are pushing at the boundaries of ecosystems and testing their limits. We must defend these boundaries, both tangible and intangible, to ensure harmony between humanity and nature. We need to improve planning regarding our territorial space, implement our functional zoning strategy, and draw up red lines for ecological conservation. We should accelerate efforts to establish a system of nature reserves, improve biodiversity protection networks, and set reasonable spatial limits for economic and social activities. Yangtze River Economic Belt, a showcase for green development. Main points of the speech at a forum on the development of the Yangtze River Economic Belt. November 14th, 2020. We will implement the guidelines of the 19th CPC National Congress in 2017 and the 2nd, 3rd, 4th, and 5th plenary sessions of the 19th CPC Central Committee held in the 3 years that followed. To write a new chapter in green development that gives priority to eco-environmental conservation, we will act on the new development philosophy and promote high-quality development of the Yangtze River Economic Belt, YREB. This will set a new example of coordinated development among regions, raise opening up to new and higher levels, build new strengths in innovation-driven development, and create a new example of harmony between humanity and nature. The goal is to make the YREB a showcase for China's green development, prioritizing eco-environmental conservation, a major artery, boosting domestic and global economic flows, and an important leader in high-quality economic development. In the past 5 years, under the leadership of the CPC Central Committee, provinces and cities along the Yangtze River have worked with unprecedented intensity and on a grand scale to improve their eco-environment and accelerate their transformation to green and low-carbon economic and social development. The result has been huge progress in eco-environmental protection in the YREB, and historic successes have been achieved in economic and social development. The YREB region has generally enjoyed steady economic growth under an optimized structure. Local living standards have significantly improved, and economic growth has been achieved together with improvements in environmental protection. In particular, since the beginning of this year, provinces and cities along the river have responded effectively to the sudden outbreak of the coronavirus epidemic by balancing epidemic prevention and control with economic and social development, and have effectively offset the impact of major floods and the worsening external environment, playing a prominent role in making China the first major economy to return to positive growth. The YREB represents a major policy decision on the part of the CPC Central Committee. It is an important strategy with a bearing on China's overall development. The 19th CPC Central Committee detailed specific requirements for the YREB initiative in the proposals adopted at its 5th plenary session earlier this year. The YREB covers 11 provinces and cities along the river and spans the east, center, and west of China, accounting for half of the country's population and economic output. It is of critical importance to the national eco-environment and has huge development potential. This has determined that it should play a key role in implementing the new development philosophy, creating a new development dynamic, and promoting high-quality development. Protection and restoration of the eco-environment should be strengthened. We must take a holistic and systematic view of the ecosystem and the Yangtze River Basin, identify the root causes of existing problems, carry out systematic protection and restoration, and avoid any resort to stopgap measures. We must make coordinated efforts to manage such eco-elements as mountains, rivers, forests, farmlands, lakes, and grasslands, promote interaction and cooperation in the upper, middle, and lower reaches of the river, and strengthen the coordination of all relevant measures. At the same time, we need to focus on overall progress. While making breakthroughs in key areas, we need to strengthen systematic and holistic measures to prevent imbalanced development and guard against the tendency of attending to one matter while losing sight of others. Conditional on the strictest eco-environmental protection, we will improve the efficiency of resource utilization, accelerate green and low-carbon development, and strive to build green development pilot zones where humanity and nature coexist in harmony. Top priority must be given to restoring the eco-environment of the Yangtze River, and a new system for comprehensive control must be established. To improve the eco-environment of the river and the eco-functions of its waters, and to secure the quality and stability of the ecosystems, we should take into consideration multiple factors and their interactions, including the aquatic environment, the aquatic ecosystem, water resources, water security, water culture, and the coastline. We must implement coordinated management and control of the upper, middle, and lower reaches of the Yangtze River, its banks, trunk, streams, and tributaries, and the rivers, lakes, and reservoirs in the basin. We must strengthen territorial space control and negative list management, enforce red lines for ecological conservation, continue to carry out projects for eco-environmental restoration and pollution control, and keep the ecosystems of the Yangtze River natural and intact. We need to step up efforts to establish mechanisms to realize the market value of green products, so that environmental protection and restoration efforts receive reasonable returns, and those who damage the environment pay the price. We will improve the systems for monitoring and early warning of water disasters, for disaster prevention and control, and for emergency rescue and relief. We will make comprehensive efforts to improve river courses and reinforce embankments so as to build the Yangtze River into a tranquil river that does not burst its banks. Achieve modernization based on harmony between humanity and nature. Speech at the 29th Group Study Session of the Political Bureau of the 19th CPC Central Committee, April 30th, 2021. Today we gather here for the 29th Group Study Session of the Political Bureau of the CPC Central Committee. The theme of this session is strengthening our efforts in building an eco-civilization in the new era. Since the 18th CPC National Congress held in 2012, the Political Bureau has had 2 group study sessions on subjects related to building an eco-civilization. This is the 3rd. The goals of the session are to take on the new tasks and to meet the new requirements that we face in building an eco-civilization in this new development stage. Applying the new development philosophy and creating a new development dynamic to analyze the new developments in building an eco-civilization, and to achieve modernization characterized by harmonious coexistence between humanity and nature. Since the 18th CPC National Congress, we have strengthened the party's leadership in all our efforts to build an eco-civilization and made a series of strategic plans to prioritize these efforts in our overall work. Pursuing eco-environmental progress is one of the 5 core tasks in the 5-sphere integrated plan. Ensuring harmony between humanity and nature is a fundamental principle for upholding and developing socialism with Chinese characteristics in the new era. Promoting green development is a defining feature of our new development philosophy. Preventing and controlling pollution is the target of our 3 critical battles. Along with fighting major risks and poverty, building a beautiful China is an integral part of our goal of making China into a great modern socialist country by the middle of the century. All these fully embody our understanding of the importance of building an eco-civilization and affirm the status of eco-environmental progress in the overall development of the party and the state. With unprecedented determination and effort, we have taken a host of actions of fundamental groundbreaking and long-term significance, comprehensively strengthening the building of an eco-civilization, planning in a systematic manner the reform of the institutions for developing an eco-civilization, and taking a holistic approach to managing mountains, rivers, forests, farmlands, lakes, grasslands, and deserts. Our achievements are unprecedented, and historic progress has been made in our understanding and approach in building an eco-civilization. I have given instructions and directives on typical cases, such as the environmental damage to the Chilean mountains in Gansu province, the illegal construction of villas at the northern foot of the Qinling Mountains in Shanxi province, and the illegal mining activities in the Muli coal field in Qinghai province. Local authorities have investigated and held accountable the people who abused their power and committed dereliction of duty. Over the past 9 years, solid steps have been taken to build a beautiful China. Blue skies are returning. The country's vegetation coverage has grown. A green economy is developing rapidly. Energy and material consumption has been reduced. Heavy smog has been contained. The number of black and foul water bodies has fallen. Cities and rural areas have become more livable. The entire party and the whole of society have come to a realization that clear waters and green mountains are invaluable assets and have acted upon this understanding. According to satellite data from the National Aeronautics and Space Administration of the United States, from 2000 to 2017, China contributed about a quarter of the newly added vegetation area across the whole planet. Our country has taken the lead in global climate change talks. It has been an active proponent in the signing, effecting, and implementation of the Paris Agreement. China has announced the goals of achieving peak carbon dioxide emissions by 2030 and carbon neutrality by 2060. Our country has won widespread approval for its achievements in building an eco-civilization. Eco-environmental protection and economic development constitute a dialectical unity and are complementary. Through building an eco-civilization and promoting green, low-carbon, and circular development, we can meet people's growing demands for a beautiful eco-environment, achieve higher quality development that is more efficient, equitable, sustainable, and secure, and create a model of sound development featuring increased production, higher living standards, and healthy ecosystems. The restoration and improvement of the eco-environment is a process demanding a long and arduous effort. It cannot be accomplished at one stroke. Instead, it requires perseverance and solid work. Currently, our country still faces many problems and challenges in building an eco-civilization. The foundations for eco-environmental stability and progress are not solid enough, and the turning point from quantitative to qualitative change is yet to come. The quality of the eco-environment still falls well short of the people's expectation for a better life, of the goal of building a beautiful China, and of the requirements for forming a new development dynamic, promoting high-quality development, and building a modern socialist country. Restructuring our country's industry will take time. At present, traditional industries still account for a large proportion of our economy. Strategic emerging industries and high-tech industries have not become the dominant driver for economic growth. There has not yet been a fundamental change in energy structure. The root causes of pollution in key regions and sectors have not been addressed. The tasks of achieving peak carbon dioxide emissions and carbon neutrality remain daunting. The limiting effect of resources and the environment on development is growing. Green and low-carbon development is an international trend, and the green economy has become a critical area in global industrial competition. Some Western countries have taken every opportunity to vilify China on environmental matters, and constantly make this an issue. This shows that major countries are in fierce contention on the eco-environmental front. At the 5th plenary session of the 19th CPC Central Committee held in late October 2020, I emphasized that China's socialist modernization has many distinctive features. One of these is that it is a modernization characterized by harmonious coexistence between humanity and nature, a modernization that synchronizes material progress and eco-environmental progress. During the 14th five-year plan period, 2021 to 2025, in its efforts to build an eco-civilization, our country has entered a crucial stage in which the country makes carbon reduction a strategic priority, builds synergy between reducing pollution and bringing down carbon dioxide emissions, pushes for a complete green transition in socioeconomic development, and strives for quantitative to qualitative improvement of the eco-environment. We must apply the new development philosophy in full, to the letter, and in all fields of our work, maintain strategic resolve, and plan economic and social development with the goal in mind of achieving harmony between humanity and nature. Implementing our fundamental national policy of conserving resources and protecting the environment, and acting on the principles of prioritizing conservation and protection and letting nature restore itself, we will develop spatial configurations, industrial structures, production models, and ways of life that are resource-saving and environment-friendly. We need to make coordinated efforts to control pollution, protect ecosystems, tackle climate change, and ensure continuous improvement of the eco-environment, so as to achieve a modernization characterized by harmonious coexistence between humanity and nature. First, we must persevere in promoting green and low-carbon development. I have emphasized several times that eco-environmental problems are essentially the consequences of our development model and way of life. Establishing a sound economic structure that facilitates green, low-carbon, and circular development, and promoting a thorough transition towards eco-friendly economic and social development are the fundamental solutions to China's eco-environmental problems. On March 15th, I chaired the 9th meeting of the Commission for Financial and Economic Affairs under the CPC Central Committee, at which the basic approach to achieving peak carbon dioxide emissions and carbon neutrality was studied and major measures were planned. We must focus on forming a synergy between reducing pollution and bringing down carbon dioxide emissions to promote a comprehensive transformation towards environment-friendly economic and social development, and expedite the structural adjustment of industries, energy, transport, and land use. We must strengthen territorial planning and land use regulation, observe the boundaries for basic cropland, for protected ecosystems, and for urban development. Implement a strategy of functional zoning, draw red lines for ecological conservation, and rigorously defend them. We should address resource problems by focusing on utilization and promote total volume management, sound allocation, comprehensive conservation, and recycling to raise the utilization efficiency of all kinds of resources. Taking industrial structural adjustments as the key, we must accelerate the development of strategic emerging industries, high-tech industries, and modern service industries, and promote clean, low-carbon, safe, and efficient use of energy to continuously reduce carbon intensity. To solve the problem of insufficient scientific and technological support for green and low-carbon development, we must make greater efforts to research carbon capture, utilization and storage, zero-carbon industrial process reengineering, and facilitate the application of innovation achievements in green and low-carbon technologies. We should develop green finance to buttress innovation in green technology. I have emphasized time and again that reducing carbon dioxide emissions and tackling climate change are an active rather than a passive choice. Achieving peak carbon dioxide emissions and carbon neutrality are solemn commitments that our country has made to the world. They require a broad and profound economic and social transformation. Achieving them will be no easy task. Currently, some central departments and local governments still have a strong tendency to launch energy-intensive and high-emission projects. At the study session in January on implementing the decisions of the 5th plenary session of the 19th CPC Central Committee, attended by principal officials at the provincial and ministerial level, I particularly emphasized that we must avoid 8 misunderstandings. One of them is giving the green light to energy-intensive and high-emission projects under the pretext of boosting domestic demand and expanding the domestic market. Relevant central departments and local governments must be strict in giving approval and put a stop to projects that do not meet the standards. In the spirit of leaving our mark in the steel we grasp and our print on the stone we tread, party committees and governments at all levels should work out clear timetables, roadmaps, and work plans, and ensure that economic and social development is based on resource-efficient green and low-carbon transformation. Second, we must fight a tough battle against pollution. Now, people have higher expectations for the quality of the eco-environment and a lower level of tolerance for problems in this regard. We must concentrate our efforts on resolving prominent eco-environmental problems that directly affect people's lives and ensure that people truly feel the improvement of the eco-environment. We must control pollution in a targeted, well-conceived, and law-based manner, maintaining the intensity and expanding the scope of our efforts to improve the quality of air, water, and soil. We should strengthen coordinated control of different pollutants, especially fine particles and ozone, and coordinated control measures of different regions, with the goal of largely eliminating severe air pollution. We should coordinate the management of water resources, the water environment, and water ecosystems, pollution prevention and control and ecological protection for rivers, lakes, and reservoirs should be strengthened. Our bays should be clean and beautiful. Safety of drinking water should be guaranteed, and black and fetid water bodies in cities should be eliminated. We must press ahead with soil pollution prevention and control, and effectively manage the risk of pollution of farmland and land for construction. We should sort, reduce, and recycle garbage, make a greater effort to control plastic pollution, and collect and dispose of hazardous waste and medical waste. We should take more solid steps to prevent and control heavy metal pollution, and attach importance to controlling pollutants of new types. We should extend pollution control to towns and rural areas, and intensify the prevention and control of non-point source agricultural pollution to notably improve rural living environments. Third, we should improve the quality and stability of ecosystems. This is not only an essential requirement for increasing the supply of high-quality ecological products, but also an important means to mitigate and adapt to the adverse impact of climate change. Vegetation is a valuable asset of a country. Footnote 1. Guanzi. End of footnote 1. A good eco-environment itself holds economic and social value. We should adopt a holistic approach to improving ecosystems, promote the integrated conservation and restoration of mountains, rivers, forests, farmlands, lakes, grasslands, and deserts, and lay greater emphasis on taking comprehensive and systematic measures to deal with problems by addressing their root causes. We should create a framework of protected areas with a focus on national parks, and improve the supervision system for protected areas and for ecological conservation red lines. A sound mechanism for realizing the market value of green products should be established to ensure that those who protect and restore the eco-environment get reasonable rewards and those who damage it pay a corresponding price. We should promote the comprehensive treatment of desertification, stony desertification, and soil erosion and carry out large-scale greening programs. We should promote the rehabilitation of grasslands, forests, rivers, and lakes, enforce the 10-year ban on fishing in the Yangtze River, and improve the systems of crop rotation and fallowing. We need to carry out major biodiversity conservation projects, strengthen regulation and control over alien spaces, and work to ensure the success of the 15th meeting of the Conference of the Parties to the Convention on Biological Diversity. Fourth, we should actively promote global sustainable development. To protect the eco-environment and address climate change is a challenge for all of humanity. Guided by the vision of building a global community of shared future, we should actively participate in global environmental governance and increase international cooperation in climate change response, marine pollution control, and biodiversity conservation, among others. We should earnestly implement international conventions, actively undertake environmental governance obligations commensurate with China's national conditions, development stage, and ability, and provide more public products for the world. We should continue to boost our institutional rights, achieve a balance between obligations and rights, and demonstrate that China is a responsible major country. China should play a leading role as a large developing country, strengthen South-South cooperation and cooperation with neighboring countries, provide financial and technical support within its means for other developing countries to help them improve their environmental governance capacity, and work together with them to build a green Belt and Road. China is committed to the principle of equity, common but differentiated responsibilities, and respective capabilities. It firmly upholds multilateralism, effectively responds to the attempts of some Western countries to corral its progress, and resolutely safeguards its development interests. Fifth, we must modernize our national government system and capacity in the eco-environmental field. We must improve a modern environmental governance system that is led by party committees, guided by the government, and supported by enterprises as the main players, in which social organizations and the general public are active participants, and we must form systems and mechanisms for integrated planning, implementation, and performance assessment. We should make in-depth efforts to advance the reform of the system for developing an eco-civilization, strengthen legal and policy support for green development, and improve the property rights system and the laws and regulations relating to natural resources and assets. We must improve the management of the binding targets for environmental protection, energy conservation, and emissions reduction, and establish a sound and stable fiscal investment mechanism. A pollutant permit system should be implemented across the country to encourage the trading of pollutant discharge rights, energy use rights, water use rights, and carbon emissions rights. A sound risk management mechanism will also be put in place. We should make great efforts to promote eco-environmental progress, increase citizens' awareness of resource conservation, environmental protection, and a healthy ecosystem, encourage simple, moderate, green, and low-carbon ways of life, and transform the initiative to build a beautiful China into conscious action by all. On May 18, 2018, at the National Conference on Eco-Environmental Protection, I pointed out that China has entered a critical period in which it is under heavy pressure and faces a series of heavy tasks in building an eco-civilization. It is a period of tough challenges for the provision of more high-quality eco-friendly products to meet people's growing demand for a beautiful eco-environment, but it is also a window of opportunity when conditions are right and the country has the ability to solve prominent eco-environmental problems. Party committees and governments at all levels must strengthen their political acumen, understanding, and capacity to deliver. Bearing in mind the priorities of the state, they should shoulder the responsibility of building an eco-civilization, strictly implement the central authorities' policies, and ensure that the decisions and plans of the Central Committee on the Eco-Environment are carried out effectively. Let the Yellow River serve the nation. Main points of the speech at a forum on further eco-conservation and high-quality development of the Yellow River Basin, October 22, 2021. We should have a clear understanding of major issues of eco-environmental protection and high-quality development in the Yellow River Basin, based on a rational analysis of its current situation. We must be pragmatic and committed to this goal, and make every effort to deliver tangible results during the 14th Five-Year Plan period 2021 to 2025 to ensure the Yellow River always serves the nation. Since the CPC Central Committee formulated the National Strategy for Eco-Conservation and High-Quality Development of the Yellow River Basin, we have done a lot of work to address relevant problems, such as putting in place a framework for the protection and governance of the river, tackling eco-environmental problems, and protecting and restoring ecosystems. We have improved the basin's governance system and made new progress in its high-quality development. However, we must recognize that some prominent problems still exist. We must focus on solving these problems and continue to step up our efforts. Provinces and autonomous regions along the Yellow River must fully implement the national strategy and be committed to a path of modernization that prioritizes eco-environmental conservation and pursues green development. First, we must have a correct attitude towards assessing officials' performance and an accurate understanding of the relationship between protection and development. Focusing on well-coordinated environmental conservation, we should improve the eco-environment of the Yellow River Basin by addressing environmental problems, intensifying efforts to conserve water and control water use, and protecting and restoring ecosystems. We must make sure that red lines for ecological conservation are never crossed in our activities of development along the Yellow River, and that utilization of resources, particularly water resources, is within their bearing capacity. Strict measures should be adopted to guarantee high-quality development with greater efficiency. Second, we should coordinate development and security to improve risk prevention and response. We should give high priority to risks in water security and advocate water conservation throughout society. We must pay careful attention to the complex and far-reaching influence of global climate change, respond proactively in the interests of security, and improve all-round disaster prevention and control to guarantee the safety of the people. Third, we should improve strategic thinking and apply systems thinking to the whole process of environmental protection and high-quality development. We should balance the relationship between the whole and the part, always having the broader picture in mind, and giving priority to the overall interests on major issues. We should handle the relationship between the present and the future properly, be far-sighted, and avoid the mindset of seeking quick success or instant benefits. Fourth, we will be committed to green and low-carbon development and work hard for better quality, higher efficiency, and more robust drivers in economic growth in the Yellow River Basin. Measures should be put into effect in both supply and demand for dual control over the volume and intensity of energy use. Strict pre-launch scrutiny should be applied to energy-intensive and high-emissions projects. Adjustments to energy production should be made in a timely and orderly manner, and outdated production facilities and technologies with high carbon emissions should be phased out. Efforts should be redoubled to ensure stability in the supply of coal and electricity and the order of the economy and society. The 14th five-year plan period is critical to eco-conservation and high-quality development in the Yellow River Basin. The following tasks must be completed as soon as possible to make new progress. First, we should move faster to build a defense line against natural disasters, to be prepared for major floods and other serious natural disasters in the future. We must lose no time in strengthening weaknesses in early warning and monitoring exposed by previous experiences, and identify and address any shortcomings in infrastructure. We should ramp up efforts to build urban flood control and drainage systems as well as disaster prevention and mitigation facilities, and bring elements such as urban eco-spaces and spillways under strict protection. Second, we must make plans for population distribution, land use, and urban and industrial development in accordance with the water resources available. To develop in an economical and efficient way, we will ensure water security, efficient use of water resources, and a tangible improvement in water ecology. We must economize on water resources through strict and refined management, and implement innovative trading measures for water rights and wastewater discharge permits by applying fiscal leverage and pricing mechanisms to improve water conservation. Third, we should do our best to improve eco-environmental protection and governance. We should focus on maintaining the integrity of the natural ecosystem of headwaters, protect every element of the unique ecosystems of plateaus and alpine regions, and take steps to help nature to recover and regenerate. It is imperative that we stop soil erosion and desertification in the upper and middle reaches of the Yellow River and take comprehensive measures to improve the entire river basin. We should clean up the watercourses and mudflats in the lower reaches and increase biodiversity in the Yellow River Delta. Fourth, we should accelerate our efforts to build a new framework for the protection and use of land resources. Key eco-environmental functional zones should receive a higher level of transfer payment so that they can focus their attention on protection and properly develop eco-industries. To develop modern agriculture, we should focus on water conservation, apply advanced technologies, and develop dry farming and high-standard farmland for better economic returns. City clusters and metropolitan areas must seek intensive and efficient development rather than blind expansion. Fifth, we should take solid steps towards high-quality development. It is important that we stay creative and innovative and improve coordination between innovation and industrial chains. We will press ahead with the energy revolution to ensure a stable supply, strengthen connectivity between the Yellow River regions and coastal areas and regions along the Yangtze River, prioritize new generation infrastructure, and expand effective investment. The Central Committee has made overall plans for eco-environmental protection and high-quality development in the Yellow River Basin. It is essential to reach agreement, build up confidence, and to take concerted actions. We should continue the working mechanism whereby the central leadership makes overall plans, provincial-level governments take overall responsibility, and city and county governments ensure implementation, with all sides acting proactively and fulfilling their respective duties. It is also necessary to stimulate the enthusiasm of major market players and various social forces. since late July. Some places in the Yellow River Basin have been hit by unprecedented floods. Local governments in the affected areas must take a serious approach to post-disaster recovery and reconstruction. A particular effort must be directed to helping those affected by floods, to ensure their livelihoods and basic living needs and to get them back to work. The situation dictates that relevant authorities take targeted measures to redress the impact of autumn floods and focus on autumn and winter seed sowing. With winter approaching, all regions concerned must make early preparations and work out contingency plans to ensure stable supplies of electricity and heating and protect people from cold in the winter. Peak carbon neutrality, an extensive and profound transformation. Main points of the speech at the 36th Group Study Session of the Political Bureau of the 19th CPC Central Committee, January 24, 2022. Achieving the goals of peak carbon dioxide emissions by 2030 and carbon neutrality by 2060 is essential to the new development philosophy. It is key to building a new development dynamic and promoting high-quality development. It represents a strategic decision the Party Central Committee has made by taking into account the situation both at home and abroad. We must conduct an in-depth analysis of the challenges and the tasks and fully understand the urgency and arduous nature of the work. We need to define priorities, make sure that they are understood by all, and ensure effective implementation of the decisions and plans of the Party Central Committee. Since the 18th CPC National Congress in 2012, the Central Committee has put the new development philosophy in action, pursuing green and low-carbon development that prioritizes environmental protection. Marked progress has been made in powering the transition towards a green economy and society. We have established a sound economic structure that facilitates green, low-carbon, and circular development, adjusted the structure of industry and energy, launched the national carbon trading market, announced a halt to new coal-fired power plants overseas, accelerated the creation of a policy framework for peak carbon dioxide emissions and carbon neutrality, and actively participated in the international negotiations on climate change. All these efforts have demonstrated China's sense of responsibility as a major country. We pursue the goals of peak carbon dioxide emissions and carbon neutrality not under compulsion but of our own accord. As we have entered a new stage of development, there is a serious need to achieve these goals, which will help to ease constraints imposed by resources and the environment and realize sustainable development. We must embrace technological advances, promote transformation and upgrading of the economic structure, meet the people's growing expectation for a beautiful eco-environment, and promote harmony between humanity and nature. All of this derives from the need to take on our responsibility as a major country and build a global community of shared future. In short, we must fully understand the importance of peak carbon dioxide emissions and carbon neutrality and increase our confidence in meeting these goals. Realizing these two goals is an extensive and profound transformation. It will not be an easy task. We must improve our capacity for strategic thinking, apply systems thinking from beginning to end, and properly deal with four relationships. First, development and emissions reduction. Cutting emissions does not mean decreasing industrial activity or zero emissions. Rather, it is a commitment to green and low-carbon development which prioritizes eco-environmental conservation and drives a green transition with booming economic development. We need to make sound plans for cutting carbon dioxide emissions while ensuring energy security, food security, industrial and supply chain security, and the normal life of the people. Second, the whole and the part. On the one hand, we must make concerted efforts across the country to ensure synergy generated by greater integration and coordination of policies and measures. On the other hand, we need to do research and determine the correct way to adjust the industrial structure of different regions and build action plans for peak carbon dioxide emissions and carbon neutrality based on a full consideration of the regional distribution of resources and industrial specialization rather than imposing uniform requirements. Third, long-term goals and short-term objectives. We must stay grounded in today's realities and address each specific problem until small victories add up into big ones. We also need to think in the long term. Instead of pursuing quick success and instant benefits, we should get the pace and intensity right in cutting carbon emissions and work towards the goal with a pragmatic and progressive approach. Fourth, the government and the market. We should lay equal emphasis on both to better leverage the role of a well-functioning government and an efficient market, and put in place sound incentive and restraint mechanisms. All in all, This work requires us to pool strengths across the country, prioritize conservation, leverage the role of the government and the market, coordinate efforts on the domestic and international fronts, and guard against risks. We must make better use of our institutional strengths, rich resources, potential in technology, and market vitality, and we must move faster to build an industrial structure, production model, way of life, and a spatial configuration that are resource-sparing and environment-friendly. First, strengthening overall planning and coordination. Achieving peak carbon dioxide emissions and carbon neutrality will be integrated into the overall plans for promoting eco-environmental progress and economic and social development. Reducing carbon emissions and mitigating pollution should operate in parallel with expanding green transition and promoting economic growth. We will speed up the rollout of relevant plans, initiatives, and support measures. We will implement 10 actions for achieving peak carbon dioxide emissions and strengthen policy coordination. Footnote 1. These 10 actions are for achieving green and low-carbon energy transition, for saving energy, reducing carbon dioxide emissions, and improving efficiency, for reaching peak carbon dioxide emissions in the industrial sector, for realizing peak carbon dioxide emissions in urban and rural development, for promoting green and low-carbon transport, for facilitating reduction of carbon dioxide emissions through the circular economy, for advancing innovation in green and low-carbon technology, for consolidating and improving carbon sink capacity, for advocating a green and low-carbon lifestyle nationwide, and for achieving peak carbon dioxide emissions by different regions in a structured and orderly manner. End of footnote 1. Local authorities and central departments should maintain the broadest perspective, set the right pace for peak carbon, and clarify responsibilities, tasks, and deadlines while advancing the work in a steady and orderly manner. Second, advancing the energy revolution. Taking into account the energy resource endowment of our country, we will introduce overall planning and adopt the method of establishing the new before abolishing the old. Safe and reliable new energy must be secured in the first place before traditional energy is phased out. We will step up efforts to build a new energy supply and accommodation system based on large wind and photovoltaic PV power plants, supported by clean, efficient, advanced, and energy-saving coal power stations in areas surrounding these plants and carried by steady, safe, and reliable UHV transmission and transformation lines. We will resolutely control consumption of fossil fuels, particularly coal, by reducing coal use and replacing it with alternative energy resources in an orderly manner. We will upgrade coal-fired power plants to conserve energy and reduce carbon emissions and make them more flexible in operation and more efficient for heating. We will strengthen the foundations for domestic energy production, ensure coal supply security, maintain the stable growth of production capacity of crude oil and natural gas, increase the reserve capacity of coal, gas, and oil, and promote large-scale application of advanced energy storage technology. We will give higher priority to new energy and clean energy, and work for the active and orderly development of energy from such sources as light, silicon, hydrogen, and other types of renewable energy. We need to promote deeper integration of energy technology with modern information, new materials, and advanced manufacturing technologies, and explore new approaches to energy production and consumption. We will increase the scale and accelerate the profitable development of new energy such as wind, solar, biomass, geothermal, ocean, and hydrogen. We will coordinate hydropower development and eco-environmental protection and develop nuclear power in a safe and orderly manner. Third, pushing for industrial upgrading and optimization. We must seize the opportunities presented by a new revolution in science, technology, and industry. Promote further integration of green and low-carbon industries with emerging technologies such as the Internet, big data, artificial intelligence, and 5G. Build green manufacturing and service systems, and increase the proportion of green and low-carbon industries in the economy. We should impose strict control over the carbon emissions of new projects and resolutely curb the blind development of energy-intensive projects with high emissions and outdated technology. We will work hard to upgrade traditional industries such as steel, non-ferrous metals, petrochemicals, chemicals, and building materials, and accelerate the pace of low-carbon technology innovation and the digital transformation of industry. We will make greater efforts to turn waste into resources, boost the circular economy, and reduce waste in the use of energy and resources. We will coordinate efforts to build a low-carbon transport system and facilitate quality low-carbon development in both urban and rural areas. Integrated conservation and management of mountain, river, forest, farmland, lake, grassland, and desert ecosystems will consolidate and increase the carbon sink capacity of the environment. We will advocate a healthy lifestyle that is simple, moderate, green, and low carbon, encourage green and low carbon consumption, promote the use of green transport services, launch green action plans and pilot programs targeting a low-carbon society, and increase the public awareness of conservation and eco-environmental protection. Fourth, speeding up the green and low-carbon scientific and technological revolution. We will do everything within our capacity to make breakthroughs in green technologies and accelerate R&D and application of advanced and applicable technologies. We will set up a sound system for green and low-carbon technology assessment and trading to speed up the application of innovation results. We will apply new approaches to the training of professionals and encourage universities and colleges to accelerate the development of relevant disciplines. Fifth, improving green and low-carbon policies. We will further improve the system for dual control over the volume and intensity of energy use. Consumption of newly added renewable energy and raw material energy is not to be included in the control of total energy use. We will improve standards for peak carbon and carbon neutrality, build a unified and standardized calculation system for carbon emissions, and transition from dual control over the volume and intensity of energy use to dual control over the volume and intensity of carbon emissions. We will improve laws and regulations and fiscal, tax, price, investment, and financial policies. We need to expand the capacity of the market, improve the carbon pricing mechanism, and increase coordination between trading in carbon emissions rights, trading in energy use permits, and electricity trading. Sixth, actively participating in global climate governance and steering its course. Committed to the vision of a global community of shared future, we will participate more actively in setting the agenda of global climate negotiations and the formulation of international rules to help build a fair and rational global climate governance system directed towards cooperation and win-win results. We must strengthen the party's leadership over the work towards peak carbon and carbon neutrality. We should intensify overall planning and coordination, exercise strict supervision and assessment, and form synergy at work. Both the party and the government should assume responsibilities and play their part. Carbon assessment indicators will be a part of the comprehensive evaluation system for regional economic and social development, and more weight will be given to these assessments in order to strengthen the binding effect of indicators. Leading officials at all levels must devote more time to the study of the basics, approaches, and requirements for this work, so that they can achieve a better understanding and apply what they have learned in practice properly. This should be an important part of the training for officials, so that they become better equipped to lead in green and low-carbon development. End of section 14.